Bismillah. Alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Assalamu alaikum Ammar. Assalamu alaikum Abid. Assalamu alaikum Rabi. Alaikum salam, Sister Erica. You guys, please go ahead and pass the greetings to each other, and assalamu alaikum to yourself and myself. Oh man, all of a sudden the names come charging in. Brother Shihan, Sister Layla, Huda, Sharif, Nasir, Saqib, Fakhra, Shanu, Jamila. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Imam Alauddin, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Ramiz, you're in the room next door. Wa alaikum assalam. Sister Noshin, all the way from France, subhanallah. Alaikum salam. Alaikum salam. Adil, Radwan, assalamu alaikum. Sister Shabana and family, assalamu alaikum. Adam and family, assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Amir, no French, bro. I don't want to make that mistake. What was it? Merci beaucoup, right? That's all I got. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam, Dr. Irfan. It's a pleasure to have you joining. Alaikum salam, Sister Navida. You guys, while you're greeting each other, please also take a moment to share the thread. Again, on Facebook, you can start a watch party. You can share it to a group that you're a part of. You can share it to a page that you manage. All these things. Just make sure that we get the word out. It's interesting because typically the night after the 27th night is usually like the lowest turnout in Ramadan. And I was just thinking, I wonder if that same dynamic would play out online, and I hope not. But mashallah, last night we had 200 people, 200 streams tuned in, which means that or over 250, I think, and that probably means that maybe like 600 or 700 at least were tuned in from their homes as families. Wa alaikum salam, Sister Sarah. Wa alaikum salam, Narmeen, Inji, Brother Nofal, Madiha, Hiba, Faraz, Amir. MashaAllah, so many salams coming in. Sorry guys, I'm probably not going to be able to keep up. Make sure you say salam to each other too. I see Brother Khalid there, Sister Siddiqa, alaikum salam. So as I was saying, please share the thread. Also take a moment to please share it. If you're watching on YouTube, share the link on your various chats and to various friends and family members so that everyone can maximize the benefit, inshallah. I know the link went up a little bit late, so maybe some people don't know or don't realize, so just share it wherever. The other thing I'm going to ask you guys to do as we are about to get started is to make sure that you hit the subscribe button on YouTube, increase our subscribers so that you're always aware of what's going on and so that we can further spread this message as far and wide as possible. And also, please follow our Facebook page. You can follow the Tarbiyah page. You can follow any of the Imam's pages, Imam Aziz's page, my page. You can follow Imam Sharif and Imam Alauddin on Facebook as well. You can follow Tarbiyah House Natomas, Tarbiyah House Roseville as well. So there's different pages for different purposes. I recommend you follow all of them, or at least the ones that you feel you would need to follow. And inshallah, we're just going to get started. I need to take a sip of this tea to clear my throat. Adil says salam. How alaikum salam, Adil. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma lakal hamdu kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhik wa azim sultanik. Allahumma lakal hamd wa lakal shukr. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في الآمين إنك حميد مجيد. Bismillah. I begin in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All praise is due to our Lord, our creator, our maintainer, our sustainer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is capable of all things, and in his endless and beautiful capacity, he chose for you and I to exist, for you and I to be together, for you and I to be part of this beautiful deen, followers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He honors us and honors us and honors us. And then I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send his peace and blessings upon our beloved Prophet, upon his companions and family members, and upon all of the men and women that walk in his footsteps and adhere to his path. And I ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would make each and every one of us among them in this life and in the next. Allahumma ameen. Once again, my dear brothers and sisters, my friends, I greet you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You know, in one of the beautiful ahadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, we sometimes we hear the ahadith, by the way, that are like about rules and you know what to do, what not to do, how to pray, how not to pray. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made commentary on those things, and he made commentary on so much else, and he gave his kind of perspective and his insight into things. And sometimes he provides these statements that you could spend books and books trying to delve into. And one of those short statements with so much meaning and power and just love is when the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, "Inna hadha al-Qur'ana ma'dubatullah, fata'allamu min ma'dubatihi." He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran is like a table filled with delicious foods, a variety of colors and flavors and scents. Ma'duba, like a feast. The Quran is like a feast, he says. And then he says, take from this feast as much as you can from wherever you can. You know, take from the variety that is available to you in this feast. And in a way, that's what we have been doing in this Ramadan. We've called this series the messages from the divine, right? But in a way, it could also be the flavors from the divine. It could also be the scents and the colors from the divine, right? These messages, this Quran, it's like this feast that we have been exploring throughout this month. And so when this month passes, because we're getting to the end, right? We're coming to the last days and the last khatiras. When this series ends, I really pray that all of you take some time later in the year to revisit these different messages, these different flavors. If you think about it, you know, you're at a feast and you taste something and you really love the way it tastes, it's on your plate, so you want to go back to it and get a little more from that part of the table, right? Or now you're looking at something else on the table that, you know, you didn't see before, you didn't, you know, get it the way it was at, you know, the first time around, but now you want to try that. So we want to make sure that we revisit these beautiful, beautiful messages from the divine on this beautiful feast, this beautiful table that has been laid out for us. So think of it that way even after the month of Ramadan is over. Now, to go into today's message, in order to kind of start things off, I want to share with you a story of two companions who you know quite well. Two separate stories, very simple. But before I start the stories, I want to mention that both of these companions are famously referred to with a title that is perhaps the most distinguished title that any Muslim could be given. Both of them were and are to this day referred to as Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen, the leader of the faithful, right? The one who stands in front of the faithful, guiding them along in the direction that they need to go. Amir al-Mu'mineen, right? Now, who are those two companions? Number one, the first one who is always referred to. If you read in a book, you know, قال Amir al-Mu'mineen, you know it's him. It's Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, the great, incredible companion and friend of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Umar ibn al-Khattab. And the second individual, anybody have a guess? I want to see how, what do you guys think? Who is the second who's known as Amir al-Mu'mineen? Anybody? I know there's a delay, so I'll give you guys a second. I'll give you some clues as well. This particular companion is also related to the Prophet ﷺ. This particular companion is also one of the earliest Muslims. And he was the fourth companion to hold this title, Amir al-Mu'mineen. His name is Ali ibn Abi Talib. I wonder how many people got that. I can't see the comments right now. Ali ibn Abi Talib was the second, who was famously known with this particular title, right? So in the books, you continue to read them in that way. Now, Ali ibn Abi Talib, right? That's who we're talking about. This story is during the time that he was the Khalifa, right? So he's the ruler, the leader of the Muslim world. Everybody knows him. They already have so much love and respect and veneration for him, but now he is on top of that, their leader. And so Ali ibn Abi Talib, he is one day, he goes to the marketplace and he grabs some meat for his family. And it's wrapped up in some paper or whatever it is that they would wrap it in. And he's holding it under his arm. And he's just walking down the street, towards his home. And so one of somebody saw him in the street and recognized him, this individual, and he goes up to Amir al-Mu'mineen and he says, وَقَالَ لَهُ أَحْمِلُ عَنْكَ يَا أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Says, I will carry that for you, O Commander of the Faithful. أَحْمِلُ عَنْكَ يَا أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. وقال أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب لا بل أبو العيال أحق أن يحمل. أبو العيال أحق أن يحمل. No, he refuses. He says, rather, the father of children should carry his own weight. The father of the one who is responsible for a family should carry his own responsibilities. You see, we take something from the story about Amir al-Mu'mineen, that the grandeur of his title, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, did not take from his simple duties to his family. He still made sure that he personally fulfilled those duties, right? And it's also a noteworthy thing that he lived the way others lived, right? He going to the marketplace and getting his own food, right? A similar story actually is narrated, similar in kind of the statement he makes about our other and first Amir al-Mu'mineen, Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu anhu. When one of those days he was carrying some luggage, right? So now imagine the leader, he's the Khalifa at this time, and he's carrying luggage, he's carrying his own, content, and he's kind of moving from one place to another. And again, one of the Muslims, they see him, they see Amir al-Mu'mineen, and for out of respect and love, they go to him and say, Ahmilu anka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, let me carry that for you, O leader of the faithful. And Umar ibn al-Khattab, he doesn't just respond, he actually responds kind of angrily, right? With real seriousness in his voice. He says, Atahmilu wuzri yawm al-qiyamah? Atahmilu wuzri yawm al-qiyamah? Because the man was about to take it from him and take the load off. And he says, Atahmilu wuzri yawm al-qiyamah? Will you carry my sins on the day of judgment? That's the deal. If you're gonna be able to do that, then go ahead and carry this. That's how serious Umar ibn al-Khattab took this whole notion of carrying his own load, right? The thought of his assistant, by the way, some of the stories, the reports say that it was actually his assistant, who's, that's his job, to help Umar ibn al-Khattab. The thought of his assistant carrying his load bothered him so much, right? It made him so upset. And so we, from these two stories, we realize that obviously these are stories about the humility and how down to earth these two incredible leaders of the faithful were. Now, is this a story about humility? Absolutely. These are both stories about their humility. On the other hand, are these stories about the projection of humility? Do you understand the difference? Are these stories, like I asked, about the projection of humility? And the answer there is no. This is not a story of the two of them feeling like it's their responsibility to lower themselves and be as humble in the sight of others as possible, because they don't want to give people the wrong idea. If you think of it that way, if you think of this as a story of these companions who are so high and so great and so mighty, forcing themselves to be lowering themselves. You kind of, what you're implying in the story is as if they felt some kind of, betterment in their own heart, some kind of even arrogance in their own heart, which we know is not the case. You're implying that that's what they felt, and then they're like pushing it down, like, no, 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 I can't let that feeling, come out into fruition. They're containing it, they're repressing it, and that's not who they were. That's not who they were. In fact, these companions, the reason they reacted that way, the reason they had this kind of humility, was because it was coming from a place of honesty. They were honest with themselves. That's actually how they perceived themselves. They perceived themselves as not deserving for someone else to even carry luggage or meat or groceries for them, because it was their responsibility. It was their personal job. It comes from a honest self-appraisal. And it comes from a realization that, all of the things that we might look at about ourselves and feel pride in, and feel even some semblance of arrogance, may Allah protect us and cleanse our hearts. Every one of those things is a gift to you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every one of them. Circumstances and opportunities, every single thing that you might feel is making you praiseworthy in some way is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Actually, the Arabic word for talent, actually, even in English, by the way, when somebody is talented, we say that they are gifted, right? They have a gift, and I hope they'll be able to refine this gift and use it for good one day, right? We say gift. Actually, in the Arabic, the words are the same. The word for talent is the same word for gift, hiba. Or there's another word for talent, mawhiba, right? Mawhiba also comes from the same root, hiba, right? We know the name that's so famous among some of the sisters, hiba, right? It's a beautiful name, but it means talent. It means gift, right? The Arabic word is the same for the two, because everything you have, everything that makes you feel that you are good or special or beautiful or whatever it is, it's a gift from Allah. It's a gift that you should be happy about, but it's one that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has been handed over to you by your Lord. If you think about it, your intelligence is a gift from Allah, right? Your beauty is a gift from Allah. You had no control over that. Your strength, right? The way your body is and it's designed, and the injuries that you have or that you don't have, these are all matters of your genetics and matters of the environment that you grew in, right? They're gifts from Allah that we had little control over. Your education, perhaps, because some people think that their education makes them, better than others. It's a source of pride for them, right? But that's a direct consequence of which university said yes and which university said no. And sometimes universities say yes to people and they have no idea why. And other times universities say no to people and they have no idea why. And so many people, they're born in one part of the world and they have, these opportunities, in other parts of the world and they have other opportunities, right? And then it's not just about universities. It goes all the way down to the lowest, level of education, right? Down to what zip code you grew up in when you were in kindergarten and first grade, or, those very primary levels of education. Your zip code would make a difference on the kind of learning you engaged in, the kind of opportunities that were available to you, kind of resources that your teachers had. All of it determined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You had zero control over. People feel arrogant or pride because of their country or race, right? They start to feel arrogant about it. Absolutely out of your control. I mean, I'll give you a simple example. Not just that you didn't choose where you were born or what race you were born into. I'll give you even another example to think about how completely out of your control this is. Some of us, like myself, my family, we are ethnically from Pakistan, right? So somebody might say, "Oh, I have pride in being from Pakistan." If you think about it, 60 something years ago, there was one moment in history that actually meant that this country named Pakistan exists versus didn't exist, right? And I might be saying something completely different today if that moment or those few moments in history did not happen, right? Or they happened a little bit differently. And the same can be said for so many people who come from the Arab nations, so many people who come from the African nations, so many people that come from the Eastern European nations. I mean, so many of these countries are just drawn up on a map with labels being given, right? People sometimes feel arrogant because of their faith. They say, well, my faith is something that I have chosen. Brothers and sisters, remember, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran multiple times, hidayah. Hidayah comes from Allah. All of it, a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a gift, multiple gifts that we are grateful for. And when you realize this, you realize that arrogance, being arrogant, makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, famous hadith, he says, لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. The one who has an atom's weight of arrogance in his heart shall not enter paradise. And so the companions, they got a little worried, right? So one of them, he spoke up, he asked, قال رجل يا رسول الله إن الرجل يحب أن يكون ثوبه حسنا ونعله حسنة. O Messenger of Allah, a man might enjoy wearing nice new clothes or nice new shoes, right? O Prophet of Allah, we want to look fresh sometimes. We just want to look fresh. So Rasulullah, he smiled and he responded, Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbul jamal. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. But here's the part of the hadith that is relevant for today. In the context of the rest of this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ ends his statement with a statement about kibr, about arrogance. He says, Al-kibru batarul haqq wa ghamtun nas. Arrogance is that you are oblivious towards the truth, or you have an attitude of obliviousness towards the truth, and that you have contempt for people. Contempt for people. These are the qualities of the arrogant. You see, arrogance is not that you have love and appreciation for yourself or for qualities of yourself that you are excited and happy and appreciative of. Right? You can have gratitude in that way. Arrogance is not a necessary consequence of having something good or something good happening to you. It's not. Arrogance is like the diseased soil. It's like the diseased, ill soil that you may plant goodness in that diseased soil, and it will in return create other spiritual disorders. It may create bigotry and ignorance. It may create racism and anger and tyranny. All of those come out of this diseased soil that is arrogance. And that's why Musa alayhi salam in the Quran, in Surah Ghafir, he says, وقال موسى إني عذت ربي وربكم من كل متكبر لا يؤمن بيوم الحساب. And Moses said, indeed, I have sought refuge in my Lord and your Lord from every arrogant one who does not believe in a day that we will be taken account of. You see, because in this story, Pharaoh, he wants to just kill Musa. He says, let's just kill him and be rid of him. Pharaoh has this misplaced sense of self. And this is the key. This is the key part of arrogance. It is a misplaced sense of self. He thinks that he has the right to just do this, right? On the other hand, Musa alayhi salam, he responds. He says, I pray to my Lord and your Lord, right? Because none of us have any reason to be arrogant. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord above all. My brothers and sisters, tonight's message from the divine. Tonight's message is to those of us who have put others down, perhaps. Tonight's message is to those of us who have forgotten our own flaws and our own weaknesses. To those of us who cannot bear to hear advice, even if it is good for us. Tonight's message is about the absolute worst form of arrogance. The worst form of arrogance that leads to all of these other forms. Tonight's message is about the soil for all other evils that we may commit. But on the other hand, if we beat this form of arrogance, we have a chance at achieving anything. And we find it in the ayat of Surah Al-A'raf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاذْكُرْ رَبَّكَ فِي نَفْسِكَ تَضَرُّعًا وَخِيفَةً وَدُونَ الْجَهْرِ مِنَ الْقَوْلِ بِالْغُدُوِّ وَالْآصَالِ وَلَا تَكُن مِّنَ الْغَافِلِينَ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ عِندَ رَبِّكَ لا يستكبرون عن عبادته ويسبحونه وله يسجدون. Sadaqallah al-Azim. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to do something very unusual, but very important. these two ayat, there's a sajda at the end. So if you guys, everybody, take a moment and make sajda. I'm going to do the same, and then we'll continue right now. So just go ahead and make your sajda of tilawah. These are the very last two ayat of Surah Al-A'raf, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "And remember your Lord within yourself in humility, and in fear without being apparent in speech, in the mornings and in the evenings, and do not be among the heedless. Indeed, those who are near your Lord are not prevented by arrogance from his worship. They exalt him and they prostrate to him." And these are the ayat, like I said, there's a sajda at the very end there. SubhanAllah, and the sajda is so symbolic, right? As we read these ayat and we put our forehead and our face on the ground, this is the statement that we make before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Now, if we're just making sajda all the time, but our heart is not making sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're missing out on the value and the beauty of sajda, right? This worst form of arrogance, my brothers and sisters, that is alluded to in these ayat is atakabbur ala Allah. Arrogance towards Allah. Arrogance towards Allah. You might think, how could somebody be arrogant towards Allah? What a fool would do such a thing. But brothers and sisters, arrogance towards Allah, atakabbur ala Allah, is when you dismiss the signs of Allah. When the signs of Allah are before you and you dismiss them. You decide that you don't want to be paying attention to those things. It is when your hawa, your desires, are more important to you than haqq. And we've talked about this in this series before, right? It is when spiritual reminders that come to you from any source, spiritual reminders annoy you. They bother you. They bring a fire in your heart. It is if you are angered when somebody points your flaws out to you in the form of advice. They're trying to advise you, they're trying to help you out. They point your flaws out and you find yourself to be so angry and upset. All of this is a takabbur ala Allah. It is when you, and take this one seriously, brothers and sisters, it is when you abandon the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I know that this is what you expect of me, that this is what you want me to do, but I'm just not interested right now. I just don't have the time right now. I just don't have the capacity right now. And it's not for me right now. When you say to yourself that your time is better spent on something else, when your attitude is towards the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as, just not right now. My brothers and sisters, this would be arrogance towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Arrogance in its essence, as I mentioned before, is a misplaced sense of the self. We saw that in the mention of Fir'aun earlier. It distorts your sense of self and others. It makes you look at them weird and look down upon them as if you have the high ground of some sort. It distorts your sense of the blessings and the favors that you enjoy in this life from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It distorts your sense of Allah Himself, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just going to sit there waiting for you to do everything that you want to do and ignore Him entirely, and then you can come back around when it's convenient for you. It distorts your sense of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is interested in us having a direct relationship and not us treating Him like something that belongs only on Friday or something that belongs only in the old age. In this month, brothers and sisters, we had one goal, right? We had one primary goal, and that is to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What if there's just one thing getting in the way the whole time? Just one thing getting in the way the whole time, and that is our sense of arrogance that has seeped into our heart. Those atom's weights of arrogance in our hearts. May Allah cleanse our hearts. We want to be inda rabbik, right? As the ayah says, inda rabbik, near to Allah. That's what the ayah talks about. So here's the answer. Don't feel like you're above His commandments. Don't feel like you are above Allah's requests of you. Allah says, hey, do this for me. And you say, I'm sorry. No, thank you. Allah's requesting you to do something. He doesn't even need it. Don't feel like you are above Allah's commandments. Don't feel like you are above His remembrance, right? As is mentioned in the ayah, they mention Allah day and night. They mention Allah even in private when nobody watches. It doesn't matter. Don't feel like you are above the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not feel like you know better how to spend your time and your resources and your talents. Don't feel like you know better how to spend them than how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for you to spend them. In Surah Al-Anbiya, similar ayah to the one we recited earlier, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَهُ مَن فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَنْ عِندَهُ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِهِ وَلَا يَسْتَحْسِرُونَ. To Him belongs whoever is in the heavens and the earth, and those near Him are not prevented by arrogance from His worship. Again, they are not prevented by arrogance from His worship, nor do they tire. وَلَا يَسْتَحْسِرُونَ. That first statement, لا يستكبرون عن عبادته. They do not become arrogant, and that prevents them from their worship of Allah. We need to adopt this in our lives. The obligations of Islam, brothers and sisters, they're not made for a specific group of people and everybody else just ignores them. They're not made for people who are especially pious or especially devoted. They're made for the average person. The obligations of Islam are not designed to serve only, people from one part of the world or another part of the world. They're not designed to serve people of a higher level of education or a lower level of education. It's not for the simple-minded or for the highly intellectual, philosophical. The obligations of Islam are for everybody. They're for all of us. And the second part, وَلَا يَسْتَحْسِرُونَ, nor do they get bored. There is no such thing as getting bored of the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do it when we're tired, we do it when we're energized, we do it day and night, we do it because we know this is the request from Allah, and we would not have arrogance towards our Lord. In conclusion, brothers and sisters, arrogance is a misplaced sense of self. It blinds us and it poisons all of the good that we hope to do. It allows us to think that we know better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, though we would never say such a thing with our own tongues. A'udhu billah. When we feel like we worship or the dhikr or the commands of Islam are not made for us, take that moment when you feel that way, brothers and sisters, to remember who you are, to have a clear sense of self, and to remember who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, and take that moment and crush your arrogance right then and there. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cleanse our hearts of arrogance. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we would be able to crush the moments of arrogance that pop up in our lives. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we would never grow bored of His worship, that we would never allow arrogance to prevent us from His worship. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us a true and clear sense of self and allows us to take that sense of self to improve ourselves and work on ourselves and be pleasing to Him. We ask to be pleasing to You, O Allah. My brothers and sisters, I have some announcements. We always ask that you stay for the announcements, and then inshallah we will conclude and everyone can go pray Isha. But please give me just a couple of minutes. Some very important updates indeed. Bismillah, the first announcement actually is a reminder, it's actually just a thank you to a particular family, the family of Zahida Saeed, the mother of brother Anjum and Farooq, and her grandkids, of course, many of whom are close friends of mine actually, Sister Amin, Meyer, Abira, Harim, Ali, Omar, Faraz, who were really instrumental in helping us to install the carpets and into the new masjid. Just wanted to say Jazakallah khair to that family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give her and her entire family a healthy and long life. Allahumma ameen. Also, we want to give you guys the updates about the fundraising goal. So we, like I said, like we've been mentioning this entire month, we're trying to raise $500,000 to cover our balloon payment. We're getting close, and in these last few nights, we have a donor family who wanted to match dollar for dollar everything that was given, and that has to be given. It can't just be pledged, but it has to actually be a transaction, a check, a card, or even cash that you can, maybe drop off at the mailbox, or I guess it's probably easiest to Venmo it or something like this. So we're getting really close, and we want all of you guys to take this opportunity to make sure that you contribute what you can to help us to get that match. Inshallah, we'll give you more updates in the coming days. Also, we have a very, very special program planned for you guys on Friday evening in order to recognize the children who are fasting. Many children who fasted, and also other children who, maybe read the whole Quran this month or had other really special accomplishments. On Friday, inshallah, we'll be recognizing them as part of, our tradition where we recognize the children who accomplished things in this month. So if you fill out the survey, the link is going to be provided. Mention your child's name and their accomplishment, and you can enter multiple children. We'll mention them, inshallah, by name as well. That's on Friday. Also, all of you know that we have a very, very special Eid program planned for you. Obviously, we cannot pray Salat al-Eid together, right? So the instruction is to do the following. Number one, on Sunday morning, the 24th, which is Eid morning, what you're going to do is you're going to get up really early. Everyone's going to shower. Everyone's going to get ready. Everyone's going to put on nice new clothing, new scent and everything, right? You're going to prepare yourself like you're getting ready for Eid, except for the part where everyone's late. Don't do that part, right? So get yourself all ready, and then you're going to pray Salatul Eid. Oh, I'm sorry. Then you're going to pay your Zakatul Fitr online if you have not done that. I recommend you do that now, by the way. You can follow the Zakat links. But you're going to make sure that you have paid that. Then you're going to pray Salatul Eid as a family, right, in your home. Then everyone's going to get in their car, which they already decorated on Saturday or whatever. It's going to look beautiful and fancy and nice. And you're going to drive all the way to our new location, which isn't that far in Roseville. It's at 10031 Foothills Boulevard. The flyers are everywhere. Please get the address from the flyers. You're going to get there between 9 and 11. You're going to arrive, and you're going to go through our Eid caravan, our drive-through celebration, which takes about 10 minutes maybe to go through the 4 or 5 different stations where you'll get to see the staff members. You'll get to receive a treat. You'll get to take some pictures, all done extremely safely, zero contact. Nobody is, no rules will be violated. We're making sure that we're doing this in the safest way possible. And then after that, you're probably going to go and have some food with the family. Again, be safe, but enjoy and celebrate. We need to celebrate this day, and we need to make sure that people know that we're celebrating this day. So this is actually the last time that I will be on a broadcast with you all. So I want to say to you all, Eid Mubarak. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday morning, inshallah. And just again, a reminder to make sure you pay your Zakatul Fitr, to make sure you pay your Zakatul Mal, and to make sure you're part of our 500,000 balloon payment that we're trying to raise for the masjid. Jazakallah khair to each and every one of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you and accept from all of us in this blessed and beautiful month of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.